All right. A very, very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for those who joined early and had the patience to wait. It's time, and we have a lot of people on this webinar today, so let's get started. First of all, thank you all for joining us on our very first online Ctrl+f5 event. We're very excited that all of you are here today with us. My name is Simran Talreja, and I have been a product manager with Reseller Club for a little over 10 years, and I will be your host today. So let me start off by saying that, these are unprecedented times and we're all living through very special circumstances. And given that, all of us at Reseller Club hope that yourselves, your families, your friends, team, staff, clients, everyone is healthy, safe, and well wherever they may be. Having said that, we're still very excited to be doing this today. We would have loved to see all of you in person. I do see a lot of familiar names in the list of attendees, and it's sad that we can't see you in person, but let's hope that the virtual setting is good enough and we still take back as much as we can from this session today. So on that note, and given that we are operating in a virtual environment, let's take a minute to get oriented with our setting. Throughout the event, during all the presentations, you can simply just raise your hand to interact with us or type in a question and send it over. Given the number of attendees, we may not be able to get down to every question, but we will make sure to answer all your questions on email even after the event. So let's do a quick test run. Let's see how many of you are with us. As an experiment, can you all please raise your hands using the raise hand control on your panel? Thank you. I see a lot of hands raised already. Okay, great. I trust all of you have found that, and you all have also seen where the question section is. So, feel free to type in a question whenever during the duration of this event. So on that note, I'm going to dive right in a little bit about, what is Ctrl+f5 and why are we all here today? So as some of you might have attended these events in the past, we've taken Ctrl+f5 to various cities, and we've had a tremendous response from our audience. At Reseller Club, our sole objective is really to help you take your business to the next level. We try to do that by bringing you better products, better tools, better features to the platform so that you can run your business more efficiently and service your clients a lot better. But we do recognize that the tech space that we're in is rapidly changing, and all of us need to keep up with the changes to stay relevant. Even the industries that our clients are in are seeing a reshaping, be it tech or AI or bots. There is a lot going on and we all need to keep up. So Ctrl+f5 is our initiative, it's our effort to bring you the best minds in the tech space, to share ideas, to share knowledge, and learn and grow together as a community. So the context for today is that we're not here to sell you anything. We're just here to hear from you, share our updates and share our ideas, and help you also with a workshop that we have lined up a little later. So on that note, we'll first start off with a few updates from Reseller Club. We have Manish Dalal, who's joined us this morning. He's our Senior Vice President and MD for the APAC businesses, and he will be sharing some important updates with all of you. After that, we have Pratik Jagdishwala. He's the hosting product lead, and he has some exciting updates as well. And lastly, I will be covering some important platform updates and the experiences that we're working on for our web professional audience. So on that note, let me hand over to Manish and let's get started with our very first talk of the day.
Thanks, Simran.
Okay, Manish, do you see the control on your side?
I do. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And my welcome as well to our first Ctrl F5 online. Pretty excited to see how this will pan out and hope that we can do more of these in the future. So I'd like to share with you a couple of updates today. First, of course, I'm hoping that all of you are safe and at home, and in these difficult times. Let me talk a little bit about what we are doing at Reseller Club and in the Endurance Group as a whole during COVID-19. And then I want to share with you some of the data that we are seeing globally for our specific industry, and get some feedback from you as to if you're seeing the same sort of demand trends globally. So what are we doing? 3,700 of our global employees are now safely working from home, including all of our Reseller Club employees. And for many of you who've been our customers for a long time, thank you for your patience during this transition. It was much easier to get some of our folks like the product and engineering teams working from home, but getting our sales and support and call center employees took a little bit of work. But again, thank you for your patience during these times. We also made an announcement a couple of days ago, which I hope you saw, which was on a domain redemption fee waiver, where we removed the restore fee for .com and .net domains from April 23rd to May 31st, which means during this period, .com and .net domains can be restored for the same cost as renewal. I encourage you to take advantage of that, as that may help you and your clients in the renewal process for domain names. And last but not least, like I mentioned, we want to do more of these Ctrl F5 online events. Like Simran said, we typically do several of these every year through multiple cities in India. And this year we were even planning to do some across Asia. So COVID-19 has not helped, but we want to do more of these online. So thank you. Okay, let me turn over to what we're seeing in our global business. And I was hoping that this will help you understand not just what Reseller Club, but Endurance Group as a whole is seeing based upon Google search demand data. But I also want to get some of your opinions and thoughts as to what you're seeing. So firstly, what's very interesting is when you look at global B2B search demand data for Google search trends, and this is just broad business to business technology categories. What you're seeing is what Google reports is starting from the second week of March, we've seen a pretty substantial increase in Google search queries for all B2B technology searches, as much as 34% higher in the month of April compared to the year-over-year numbers, right? Now, this is global data, and different countries have been impacted by COVID-19 at different points in time. So if you think about it, really China got impacted first, with Japan and Korea and Taiwan and East Asia. Then Europe got impacted, Western Europe. Then pretty much the US got impacted, and then some countries like us here in India, Indonesia, and the rest of APAC. And so what you started seeing, particularly in the West, is starting from the beginning or second week of March, as a lot of people were at home and were searching and decided that the lockdowns were extending longer than they thought, that they were searching for a lot of B2B technology queries on the internet. Maybe to get online, maybe to sell online, things of that nature. And again, like I said, this may not be true for every market at exactly the same point in time, but it does tell you that starting middle of March or early March, we saw that increase in B2B tech queries on Google. When we look at Asia Pacific, APAC specific data, and what I'm showing you here is the index google.com data by week for the last 1 year just for the APAC markets, so India, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and beyond. And each of these lines represents different parts of our business categories, right? So blogging, domain names, e-commerce, email, hosting, site builders, queries like starting a business, WordPress. And what you start seeing in APAC particularly is starting the end of March and the first couple of weeks of April, you're starting to see a gradual increase in people searching online for our product categories, things that many of you are in the business of, right? Whether it could be blogging, domains, hosting, email, site builder, etc. And again, that's very interesting is uh, perhaps what we saw in the West happening in the beginning and the middle of March, we're now seeing in APAC happening towards the end of March and in the month of April. So interesting trends to watch out for. And we think likely this will continue in the months of April and May as the lockdowns continue. And a lot of people online, SMBs, merchants, small businesses, even enthusiasts and entrepreneurs are thinking about what else can they do online and therefore searching for web presence. Then we took a deeper dive within APAC and said, what's happening in India? Since many of you are based here in India. And we looked specifically at our business categories, things that you work with us on. So web hosting, domain registration, email marketing. And again, what we find is that starting the end of March, particularly for some categories like web hosting, email marketing, we're starting to see in India, through Google India, an increase in search queries, which means people are searching more in India for some of the categories that we serve as a community. So again, interesting to think about. And I'm going to share one more piece of data before I ask you for your thoughts. We looked at similar web monthly visits on web traffic. So we looked at website visits for all of these B2B tech categories, and we compared the month of Feb this year to the month of March. And what we found across the board is an increase in web traffic for all of these types of websites. The largest being programming and developer software. Clearly, it means that our ecosystem and people in our ecosystem, including many of you, are going to find more information about programming and developer software. But then if you look at categories like electronics and technology, computer security, web hosting and domain names at 8% growth, computer hardware, a lot of these websites are also seeing an uptick in traffic. And that tells you that more and more people are not just searching for overall technology category and product categories where we play as a community, but the website's visits have been growing substantially. And I can tell you for a fact that Endurance Group has also seen a lot of uptick in web traffic to many of our front of sites, right? And I'm sure many of you may have seen this as well. So before sharing any more data, what I'd like to ask you to do is maybe provide your questions and your thoughts in the box that you see in the control panel. I'd love to hear what many of you are seeing. Like I mentioned, some of these trends may have positively impacted the Western markets first and not so much markets like India, because we went into lockdown much later than the West, right? But like I said, we also looked at India data and we are seeing some uptick in some of these queries in India. And so I'm interested to know from many of you as to, are you seeing an increase from your end customers in India, in APAC, globally, abroad, in terms of increased business opportunities and questions coming to you? So why don't you give me some of your thoughts in the comment box, on the question box, and I'll come to it at the end of this presentation. Let me keep sharing the rest of the data I have with you, because I have some very interesting data for the SMB audience with you. So Google also did a very specific survey when they went to SMB, asked them, how is COVID-19 impacting you? Right? So this is no surprise, but 53% of SMBs globally that they surveyed said that I'm seeing a significant decrease in my business because of COVID-19, right? And no surprise because many SMBs are in offline retail, many are in travel, in hospitality. So a lot of those industries have seen a substantial decline in business because of COVID-19, right? Um, but what actions have they taken? 31% said they've temporarily closed their facilities, but 30% interestingly said we are trying to shift to contactless options of interacting with our customers. And contactless options could be anything from what you see at the bottom of the list there, which is websites, and 8% are starting and expanding their websites, but could also be marketplaces, could be messaging platforms like WhatsApp, could be a whole range of different things, could be simple, just phone calls, any contactless options of talking to their customers instead of touching them at offline locations, right? Several of SMBs also said, we're taking loans, we're offering new products and services. Hopefully they're offering these services through their expanded websites, right? So that's what the SMBs are telling us through this Google survey. When we looked at the survey results and we looked at what digital solutions are SMBs consuming right now during COVID, no surprises that, of course, many of them are consuming things like video conferencing, as well as number 4 on this list, online collaboration tools, right? But interestingly, 28% are consuming more website and e-commerce solutions. 30% are consuming more digital marketing solutions, right? And then a smaller percentage are also looking for customer service and support software and marketing and sales software. So this helps you understand that while SMBs are getting impacted, those that are taking leadership and moving online are searching more and are consuming more digital solutions, right? So again, something to think about in terms of our ecosystem and how we can help these SMBs online. And lastly, one interesting thing that stood out for me when I saw these survey results from Google is how do SMBs buy or evaluate new business solutions during these difficult times? And the thing that stood out is while cost and value have always been key to SMBs, and many of you know it, the trust of the brand is turning out to be the most important reason why SMBs are buying. And this is not surprising when you think about it, because many of you who may have built your brands over the years, and SMBs know your brand and trust your brand, they automatically recognize your brands online and would feel more confident buying from you, as opposed to buying from a brand they don't recognize, right? Obviously, cost and things like flexible payment terms are equally important. But things like helpful content, not just providing transactional capability to your SMB audience or your end customers, but provide them with great content, because they may come to read and take advantage of that content today, but maybe they'll come and buy tomorrow once they find the helpful content on your websites or through the mediums that you're offering. Could be websites, could be social media, etc. So sort of keep that in mind um, as you think about how you want to target SMBs. So I'm going to stop there. This is there's a lot more data we have, and please reach out to us later on as well. We're happy to share all the data we have with you. But I thought this was useful, but I also want to see if there were any questions or comments that came up from any of you during with regards to how you're seeing growth during this time, how you're seeing reduction in business, what your customers are telling you. So have there been any questions or any comments that have come through?
Hi,
Anyone would
Manish.
like to provide some thoughts? Yeah.
Yes, we've had a few clients saying that they are seeing an increase in the number of queries that are coming in. There are more people willing to coming for web development, app development. Restaurants are seeking online ordering technology. However, some are also saying that while there is interest, they're finding it slightly difficult to convert because people are still trying to avoid spending as much.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I noticed that also in my neighborhood is a lot of people, whether it's restaurant or hyper-local merchants, have this renewed interest of coming online as opposed to just using an Amazon or a marketplace or being served by an aggregator, because a lot of the aggregators and marketplaces are also not functioning at 100%, right? So we've noticed that, but you're right, is that people are still perhaps conserving cash to see what's going to happen over the next month or two. So that's great to hear. Anything else has come up, Meenal? Any of the questions or comments came up?
No, Manish, we had, we had few of our customers. We had Prabhu, Babu, Amit, Michael, Saurabh, and Rupesh almost saying the same things, that they are seeing that that increase. Yeah.
Great. So let us know how we can help you. If you think that there's any other way we can help you in terms of how you reach out to your customers, how you market, what kind of content you use, etc. Please reach out to us. Your account management team is always ready to help. So please let us know how we can help. So before I end and pass it on to Pratik, I did want to share something which is really a matter of pride for many of us here at Reseller Club and the Endurance Group, which really is an award that we recently got, which maybe many of you sort of saw online, is Google and Google Cloud gave us the Expansion Partner of the Year award for Asia Pacific for the year 2019. And the way this award works is there is 5 regional winners that they pick, one for each region. And for Asia Pacific, they picked us, the Endurance Group. And in reality, the platform that helps Google Cloud and products like G Suite the most is obviously Reseller Club. And I also want to thank many of you, because many of you who've been our customers and resellers for so many years and have worked with us at Reseller Club for so many years and have actually helped distribute G Suite and made G Suite so popular across India and APAC, has allowed us to win this award. So thank you, and I hope we can keep working together to really make Google even more successful, given how strong their brand is here in India and APAC. So I'll stop there, and I'm going to now hand it over to Pratik. If there are any further questions for me, well, let me stop there. If there are any questions right now, I'm happy to answer them. So let me just pause for questions. And if there are no questions, and if you think of questions later for me, please ask these questions. We'll answer them through the presentation. And at the end, and if we don't get to them, we'll email you answers later on. So let me just pause before handing this over to Pratik and seeing if there are any more questions that you have. Meenal, any more questions that have come in, or should I hand it over to Pratik for now?
Let's move on, Manish. Thanks.
Okay. So feel free to ask the questions during the presentation, and we'll all be here and we'll help answer your questions. Yeah. Okay. So let me hand this over to Pratik. Pratik Jagdishwala is our product head for hosting, and he has some good updates for you. So I hope you enjoy these. Thank you so much again for joining.
Hey guys, hey Manish, thanks for the insightful presentation that you did. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. You guys can see my presentation now. Cool.
Yes.
Hey guys, really nice to meet you guys again, even if it's virtually. It's something better than nothing, I guess. I hope all of you are safe and sound, and you stay that way as well. Uh, I just wanted to give you some updates on our core hosting products. And since you guys have been with us for such a long time, what we have done, what should you be expecting out of the hosting products going forward? And that's what I'll be trying to cover. So before I get into the updates, I just wanted to uh, give you some history on what's been happening. So the hosting product scenario has changed a lot over the last few years. I have been in this industry for the last 15 years, so I can definitely tell you where and what was the scenario and what's changed. And everything has improved from performance of CPUs to performance of RAM, and those were the bottlenecks day back. And now um, it then resulted into the biggest bottleneck becoming uh, the hard drive. Basically, if you get more visits, if you are getting a lot more traffic, you were not able to serve. That obviously was solved to an extent by advanced rate techniques and cloud solutions and stuff. But again, not all sites need to go on cloud. It's obviously a cost factor as well. Uh, Luckily, SSDs came along and the prices of SSD started dropping. SSDs being solid state drives that helped bridge this gap. As in, you didn't need advanced storage techniques and RAID solutions to achieve the speeds that you are looking for. And uh, the best part is the SSDs have now become a lot more affordable, and uh, they have tried and bridged the gap of the bottleneck that was there, and that was the speed of hard drives. Uh, at Reseller Club, when we have been speaking to you time and again, this has come up that, okay, how do we increase the speed of the hosting? How do we get more resources for package and stuff? So I want to ensure, we would definitely wanted to ensure that you also reap the benefit of these SSDs. And what we have done essentially is we have looked at that feedback and ensured literally all our products move onto the SSD platform, SSD drives, and you get that benefit. Your customers' websites get that benefit. So that's going to be one of the common themes, including the other upgrades that keep on normally happening. That's one of the biggest updates that we have, at least on the performance bit for your sites. So what we did is we did launch the cloud hosting product that we have on all SSDs. So if you look at the cloud hosting product, if you go on uh, the front of site, you now see that we have replaced all the legacy HDD cloud solutions with the SSD based cloud solutions. And this obviously promises you better performance than what you are getting. On our internal test, we have seen almost a jump of 150% compared to the older cloud solutions. So hopefully that helps run your and your client sites better. Uh, Moving on to shared, again, we didn't want to ensure that this benefit that is being given is limited to the cloud hosting products as well. So we obviously have a hybrid setup in shared where most of the DBs run on SSDs, while the content that you are serving for your website is on HDDs. But we wanted to change this as well, and we have started rolling out servers on shared with 100% SSD as well. Over here, we are seeing almost 50% jump in performance over the older HDD boxes. So again, uh, the same boxes, the same packages are going to give you better performance. But again, I want to ensure that we don't leave the guys who have existing packages with us behind, and they don't feel that, okay, they have been left out of this. So we already have planned to move all existing packages on these SSD powered boxes as well. Again, it's a long-term plan. We want to ensure that the new orders first get done. then the older boxes on which they are running start getting done, and eventually the entire silo of all shared and cloud hosting will get moved on the SSD boxes. That will ensure performance across. So yeah, that's what we wanted to say on this cloud and shared. I just wanted some help from you guys. I just wanted to understand your usage pattern and how do you use these packages. So I have a small poll for you that I would want you to take up. So let's run the poll. So basically, I just wanted to understand how often do you use a cloud provider, and what are your uh, experience around it? Is it too complicated? Is it too expensive? Or you think you don't need it yet? Or and your shared hosting actually covers it? Or basically you host mostly on cloud and you're very comfortable with that? So we'll wait for a minute for this to close. Meenal, do tell me when this is done so we can move on to the next slide.
Okay, I think we can move. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Cool. Moving on, the same theme of performance improvement is something that we wanted to carry forward on our dedicated servers as well. Uh, the dedicated server product that you see, we obviously had a lot of feedback from you guys that uh, we are not able to use heavy traffic, heavy SQL requirement sites on the dedicated servers that we offered. The CPU that we were giving, the RAM we were giving was not enough for a lot of projects. So what we've done is we have refreshed the configuration of our dedicated boxes. We have launched all SSD boxes, RAM going up to 64 GB of RAM. We've also rolled out plus panel on the dedicated boxes. And what we are working on, one of the requested items that has come up time and again, is backups, seamless backups integrated in the dedicated boxes. So that's something that we are working on, and that should be available soon. I will just take you through how and what are the configurations of these dedicated boxes. So if you see, we've moved from where the VPS stops, that's where dedicated kicks in, basically from starting from 16 GB, 28 GB, 64 GB boxes, and literally up to 1800 or 1790 GB of SSD on RAID 1. So that's something that we are giving out of the box. We have upgraded the CPUs to the Intel Xeon 2141 series as well. So hopefully this helps you with your requirements. This should the boxes should be able to tackle a lot of use cases as well. And again, awaiting your feedback. If you think there are other things that we can add on, definitely that's something that we want to take up. We are up to the challenge. uh, I will move on to the VPSs. As you guys already know, that VPSs is something that we have moved on SSD over a year back, and we have received a lot of positive feedback, and we have received a lot of good information on this VPS. You have liked the VPS as well, and the numbers show that for sure. But one of the features that you have been asking for a lot of time, and it's repeatedly asked, is VPS obviously inherently has a flaw where the disk size are limited, restricted because of the use case. And we have received time and again feedback that we want add-on storage, we want backups, we want snapshots pre-integrated, so we can use the VPSs out of the box, and we don't have to go around figuring out how to take these backups and how to add more storage if needed. So that's something that we are working on. So that should be available pretty soon, and that's one of the projects that we are executing on VPSs, and we plan to extend this to the dedicated panels as well. With that, I just want to take a smaller poll on the use cases. So basically, this is the poll. What kind of hosting do you normally use to deploy your website? Is it share? Is it VPS dedicated? Is it cloud? Basically, just want to understand your normal use case. What is your go-to product when it comes to your customer's website? Let's wait for a minute for this one.
I think that's good. We can
Yeah.
proceed.
Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. I will move on to. So I'll I'll go on to the next and the most exciting part of the update. Email hosting. We obviously have Google, as Manish did mention, and we also have our in-house standalone email product. And the standalone email product that we have, we basically sell it in two variants. One is called the business email variant, which is 5 GB of storage. The other is the enterprise variant, which has 30 GB of storage with a few other premium options that the business email does not have. Now, this email has two parts to it. You can configure this email on your mobile, on your desktop, on any applications like Outlook or Apple Mail or something and use it. Or you can also access your emails via going online to webmail.yourdomainname.com, accessing it via a webmail. A lot of people do access or do use webmail even on mobile tablets and stuff where they don't want to store emails locally. That's a very big use case as well. And over the last few quarters, we were getting a lot of feedback and issues on the webmail that we had. And we had to fix that. We took that up and we have actually moved out of the older webmail that we were using. It was a third party webmail. We went ahead, we did the migration onto a new platform to which we have access to source code to fix any issues if we encounter, which was not possible with the older mail. And I am happy to announce that we finished the entire migration of all email boxes uh, just last week itself. And what this gives us, this actually gives us uh, a new spanking new webmail which has a lot of customization capability for customers. So every user can have its own customization. You can select your theme, backgrounds, your layouts. Everything is something that you can customize to how you like it. The new platform is a lot more stable and it has a lot more support available for us, and so we expect it to run a lot faster without much issues as well. This also opened up a path for us to be able to get the most requested uh, features for the email product, that was add-on storage. So now we are working on a way that you can add more storage to your existing boxes. So let's say if you have 10 boxes with on business email and you just want to increase storage in two boxes where you want to add 5 GB, 10 GB, 20 GB more to only one or two boxes, you can actually do that. So that's something that's work in progress and we expect to launch soon. And this also helps us fix a big issue that existed in the older email where if you wanted to upgrade from, let's say, business to enterprise, it was not a straightforward one-click upgrade. So that has been sorted as well. So these two are the features that are coming in. Uh, to add to this, as I already said, that the webmail has a lot of customizations and stuff, but one of the updates that we have held back is something that I want to share and give you a demo of. This is very close to my heart. I love the webmail look and feel that's there. So I just want to ensure that you understand that this webmail is going to be available, or this skin is going to be available for any business or enterprise email that you might buy with us. So just going ahead with a small demo of this. So this definitely is heavily inspired by what you can say G Suite. Uh, the look and feel is this is the inbox where you can see how this is a lot more streamlined, a lot more cleaner than what it used to be. Uh, Calendar view is also interesting. It has all the features that you would want. It has shared calendars as well. So this works well with all existing use cases that we have. And this is the compose button. Here again, don't look at the text over here where it says maximum allowed is 8 MB. We have a 25 MB limit on share on the email platform. And in case you have bigger files, attachments that you want to send, we will be adding the capability of linking Google Drive or Dropbox files directly to this. So you can access it directly from here and send that across and share that as well. Uh, Email, so I hope you are as excited as me when you look at this, because this definitely means that the webmail is going to be something that people will enjoy using for sure. Uh, Before we move on, I just wanted some more help from you. I have two small polls that I would want to run on the email piece. Let's move on to the first one over here. So we are looking at adding a lot more features. So we just wanted to understand what are the features that you like seeing on the webmail. One is obviously backups, the other is market spam, advanced anti-spam that we can integrate seamlessly inside webmail. Microsoft Active Sync, if that is even a use case. Two-factor authentication for security, and chat and video conferencing and collaboration suite inside your email itself. Do you think that's a use case that you want, or that's a use case that will work for you? Uh, so yeah.
Thanks, Pratik. We're good.
Yeah, very good. So I will move on to the next one. And yeah, this is the next poll. Can we please start this? So we also wanted to understand how big of a problem are spam emails for you, as in for your client's domain name. Uh, do you go and purchase a third-party anti-spam tool to ensure that spam emails are not received? Do you choose a mail provider with integrated anti-spam solutions? If you have spam problems, you just move to a provider like Google or something, or you use some other provider which manages spam better. We just wanted to understand the behavior when it comes to emails.
I think we have a few, Pratik. Thanks.
Perfect. Let me move on to the platform. Yep. If you have questions, please do add in here. Meenal can pass them on to me in case I'm not able to answer. We'll definitely ensure that we reach out with the answers via email. So I'll give a minute for that.
Hi, Pratik. Pratik, there seems to be a lot of interest, in the cloud offering. So,
Yeah.
is there anything that you'd like to add when it comes to any kind of updates over there?
Are there any specific questions over there that I can
There are
address,
lots of requests.
or any specific question? So basically, the cloud hosting that we have is more of a scalable model where uh, we do give you this on cPanel, but we also ensure that it is scalable when you compare it to a shared box where you can actually increase RAM. I can just take you back to that slide, so that gives you a idea of how we actually position it. So if you look at, you can increase your CPU that you have, your processing power for your websites, your RAM for your websites. So based on how many hits requests you are expecting, the more RAM and CPU you have, the more parallel requests that you can handle. And that's the whole idea of this cloud offering, where you also need to understand that this is not a cloud offering that we give you root access to. This is a cloud that has been created in a way that's friendlier than the normal cloud that's out there. There are no hidden charges. This is not auto scaling. You have to go and manually increase your resources. And this is not post-paid model. This is not a very heavy IOP saying that I will run 100 GB database on this. This is not that kind of use case. This is more of a site. If your shared boxes or share sites to not scale to the requirement of the traffic, then this is what you should go in before you move on to a unmanaged VPS dedicated or something. This is mainly a managed platform where you'll get more resources than what you get for shared, but you will not get as much as dedicated resources where you can configure each parameter in a VPS or dedicated. Hope that clarifies this a bit. If you have specific questions, to send those across. I will try and reach out to you and answer those, and or email you the responses as well.
Thank you, Pratik. There are a lot of comments we've received from everybody. So we will definitely get back with answers to them. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I just want to continue and ensure that, okay, I spoke about email hosting, and Manish also mentioned that we have Google Cloud and we have been awarded by Google as well. So continuing with that update and giving you more context on the Google email product, I would want to hand it over to Simran, who is the product manager for platforms, UX, and the third-party products as well. So she will give you more updates on the platform. Simran, thanks a lot. You should have access now. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Pratik. I hope you all can see my screen. So very quickly, I know we've kind of overshot on time, but I will quickly give you guys some updates on, the experiences and other products that we're working on for all of you. So like Pratik said, we have, in fact, just coming this May, we are expanding our G Suite portfolio. Right now, we only offer the business, the basic plan. We do plan to offer the business and the enterprise plans as well. This is mostly because a lot of you have given us feedback about, having corporate clients, the big enterprises who have slightly more sophisticated needs. The G Suite business and enterprise plans do a really good job of addressing some of those needs, especially things like unlimited cloud storage and advanced security controls are things that are especially suited to your bigger clients. So we hope that this will also be a good worthy inclusion to our G Suite portfolio, especially hot on the heels of us winning the APAC award for being the most important partner for Google in APAC. So we're very excited to be bringing these higher plans to you, and we will be facilitating upgrades between the basic and the business and the enterprise plans as well. Also, we are very, very excited to announce that the Reseller Club mobile app is now available for all you Apple users. This has been constant feedback that we've gotten over the past year. And while it has already been made available on the Google Play Store for the Android users, it is now also available on the Apple App Store. If you haven't already checked out our mobile app, I really do encourage you to go and download it. Our sole goal with the mobile app is to help you take your business anywhere. Um, when the lockdown ends and you all go out there, you'll attend a lot of events, conferences, you'll do meet clients face to face. So our hope is that you can still do the important activities on the go on your mobile app itself. So things like booking a domain on the spot. We've heard from a bunch of you that while you all are speaking to a new client, you all want to lock them in, you all want to just book a domain for them at least. So those are things that you can do on the mobile app. Also, just keeping an eye on renewals, right? So a lot of you do follow up with your clients, remind them of which orders are coming up for renewal. So, this is an easy way for you to keep an eye on that and also reach out to your clients to remind them. Also, keep an eye on your funds. So if you're running low on funds, you can easily top up. I know we have a lot of our Indian audience on the webinar today, and for all of you, we did release the auto NEFT facility. So this is a very quick, easy way for you to top up funds in your wallet. I hope you have used it, and if you haven't, you all must try it out. Also, we have push notifications on the app, so you can keep up with what orders are coming up for renewal in the week. And lastly, we want you to be able to reach us at any given point in time, so you can escalate issues to our support agents. This feature is already available on Android, and we will be launching it very soon on the iOS platform as well. Further, we are also excited to be announcing the addition of funds via a payment gateway. So this is for our global audience who cannot use facilities like Auto NEFT. We will be providing a simple payment gateway where you can simply specify what funds you want to add and just enter your card details to make a payment via a payment gateway. Also, a lot of you have requested, things like viewing and searching your orders. So that's also something that's under work right now, and we will be launching it soon on both the platforms. So in addition to just viewing and searching for your orders, we also want you to be able to do certain basic actions on your domain names, your hosting packages, your email packages. So, things like configuring your name servers on the go, or quickly adding a new email account for your clients. I know a lot of them do still reach out to you to configure email addresses and stuff. So, basic things like that, which you could just do on the go. We will be providing basic management actions as well. And lastly, I know some of you have already moved to the Web Pro panel, but for those of you who are not on it, this is our effort to revamp our experiences, especially the panel, because that is a frequent point of contact for a lot of you. So the Web Pro panel already supports the basic features like order management, client management. We did also launch a nice new invoicing tool, and that's for all of you to invoice for your services like design, development, etc., over and above the products that you resell through us. And now we have also added all the goodness of our reselling capabilities to the new panel. This is something that we've kind of rethought, so we've not just copy pasted. We've tried to simplify it and improve the experience. The one important aspect that I would like to draw your attention to, as soon as this loads, let's just give it a second. Okay. So I hope you all can hear me clearly. I will just quickly wrap this up. We do have the super site also, which is launching on the Web Pro panel. So this is where you can use our ready-made storefront, set your URLs, brand your storefront, customize the layout, and set your own prices as well. So with that, I think we have one poll that we have launched. Meenal, is the poll live? I know we have
Yes,
this poll
yes, Simran,
that's
it's live.
already running. Okay, great. Let's give it a couple of minutes and then we can move on to the next section of our agenda today.
Yep, I think we are good.
Okay, great. So thank you all for taking time out and responding to our polls. I'm having some trouble with the present mode. Some assets are not loading. So I hope you all can see that we have Chirag Jethwaney. This is something fun that we've planned. It's going to be a 10-minute magic show. So without any further delay, let me hand over to Chirag. He's got some interesting tricks for us.
Hey there.
So
Hi,
Chirag,
Simran. Thank you
I
so
am
much.
going to hand over. Hi, thank you so much for being here, and I'm personally very excited to see what you have for us. So
Yep.
I'm
And
very quickly going
yes,
to hand
so
over to
hi
you.
everyone watching this. My name is Chirag Jethwaney, and I've been doing this for the past 10 years. I know you all have had a pretty informative session so far, and this is going to be the entertainment side of it. So before we begin, I am going to ask all of you to participate in this. You're going to write your answers in a chat box. I'm going to throw out some questions, and they'll be read out to me by someone on the panel. All right. So we're going to begin right now. I'm going to make a fist like this. My hand will never leave the shot, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. So we are going to burn an entire deck of cards. All right. And a deck of cards has number cards and there's picture cards. So the question to all of you is, would you guys as a collective like to burn the numbers or like to burn the pictures? We will pick the second comment that we read. So drop in your answers right now. Do you want to burn the numbers in the chat box? Do you want to burn the numbers or would you like to burn the pictures? And they'll be read out to me by somebody. The numbers or the pictures?
Chirag, we have numbers.
We have the numbers. Cool. So the numbers are gone. No more aces, twos, threes, sevens. They're all gone. We just have the picture cards. Now, in the picture cards, there are two kinds of pictures. There's men and there's women. And this is by far the most ridiculous question. Would you like to burn the men or would you like to burn the women? So we'll go with the second or the third comment this time. So would you like to burn the men or the women? Pick which one. What about you, Simran? What would you like to burn?
Hey, don't ask me such a controversial
answer
question
that,
on such a public forum, okay?
Exactly.
No, but I think the third comment is men. Sorry, men.
The third comment is men. All right, third comment. Thank you
Men,
so
yes.
much. So the men are gone right now. We just have 4 cards left. The 4 queens: the queen of clubs, the queen of hearts, queen of spades, and queen of diamonds. Now, one of you who's watching this will get to save only one of these cards: the queen of clubs, hearts, spades, or diamonds. Comment your answers by just saying clubs, queen of hearts, queen of spades, or queen of diamonds, and we'll go with the third comment again. Just so we've randomized it and we're not just picking up the first comment.
So we've got 2.
Which one do we want to say?
Diamonds.
The queen of diamonds is what they said.
Yes.
Yes?
That's
So I want you
third.
to see this. In my hands right now, I don't know if you can see this, is actually a playing card that's kind of been burnt by the flames over there a little bit. So you can see it over there. And they could have chosen to save any card, right? It could have been any one over here. They chose to save the queen of spades, queen of diamonds, you said, sorry. My bad. And this is the queen of diamonds. The card you guys, all of you chose to save the queen of diamonds. I'm going to leave this like that. You can probably take a screenshot of that right now, but you chose to save the queen of diamonds, the only card in the deck. All right. So we are, as you know, we're going through some challenging times for us, for our families, for our business also, and this is kind of a challenge as well. So this is kind of metaphorical compared to the situation we're in right now. There's so many different outcomes of this, so many different outcomes of the situation we're in, and could be. But I want you to see this. There's about 43 quintillion different possibilities and solutions. This is chaos. This is where we are right now. And I want you to see this. I'm going to leave this right over here. So it's going to be in full view at all times. A lot of us have been driven by a lot of fear. We're consuming a lot of news, and rightly so, but it's not serving all of us really well. So the idea is, if we just find a still and a quiet place within, amid whatever is happening, you can start seeing some order start to form right there. That's some order over there. You can see it's starting to find itself back into normal. But before we know it, hopefully, for our businesses, for our families, for our staff, for our work, for everything, things should start to look a little something like this. And that is my hope for all of you watching this, and my prayer for all of you watching this, that things get back to normal, and we as a brand Reseller Club help you in your business even during these times. So we're gonna play another game right now, but before we do that, I'm gonna ask you to also comment your answers. Okay, you're gonna be important to what's gonna happen, and we'd like you to comment your answers so we know, and we can pick this up from there. All right, I have a deck of cards over here, and I'm gonna show you this right here. And it's gonna be, again, it's gonna be in full view at all times. I'm gonna ask all of you watching this to post your answers in the comment section. So here's the thing, we are gonna play an imagination game, right? There's one card in this deck that I've turned around. It faces the other way around, and it's at some point, it could either be in the front, could be at the back, I don't know where it is. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to tell me which card this is, and hopefully, if this works, it's not going to be me trying to read your minds. You guys will have read mine. All right, so we're going to do this. A deck of cards has different kinds of colors, right? There's reds and blacks. There's so many different, there's 4 different suits, 13 different numbers in each. So we're going to pick, to begin with, a color. So comment your answers in the comment box. Do you want to use the red cards, or do you want to use the black cards? Whatever you say is what we'll pick. So would you like red, or would you like black?
We've got
Reds or
Yogendra
black?
saying black, black, black. We've got first 3 as black.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, majority. Okay, so let's go with majority on this one.
It's
Okay,
black.
so you pick black together. Okay, cool. So in black, there's 2 kinds of suits. There's spades, and then there's clubs. So name the suit that you would like to pick, and we shall take it from there. Spades or clubs? Whatever you say is what we choose.
Let's just give them a few seconds to see
Yeah,
what's
sure.
majority.
So you guys chose black, and then it's either spades or clubs.
Right now, majority is, okay, we have a tie between spades and clubs. So
Okay.
spades, spades, spades.
All right,
Spade it is.
let's use the third. Let's use the third comment. Whatever the third comment is, let's just pick that one.
Wow, spades.
Spades. Okay, so we know it's a black card. We know it's a spade. Now, another input from you guys: is it going to be a number card, or is it going to be a picture card? I mean, you have to tell me what this is, because remember, it's you reading my mind and trying to figure this out. Hopefully, if this works, it'll be great. If not, it's not my fault. So what is it? Is it a number card or a picture card? Write your answers in the comment box.
We have a tie again.
You have a tie again. Okay, let's do the first comment. In fact, let's do the first comment this time.
Okay, number.
The number cards. Okay, so we know it's a black card, it's a spade, it's a number. What number for the first time? Drop your answers in the comments. We'll pick up the 5th comment. The 5th comment is what we'll pick up. It's a black card, it's a spade, it's a number. Which number?
Seven.
The 7 of spades. All right, so this was pretty random right now. You guys came up with this. Let's see what happened. I threw out a bunch of questions to you. You guys answered these questions in the comment section, and this never really happened. I mean, you're just playing with your imagination. This is a fragment of our imagination. This deck has been here ever since. I haven't touched it. It's always been in the shot. And you guys together, you came up with the 7 of spades. And I haven't touched it. But before we began, I told you that there's one card in this deck that I took out before we began. I turned it the other way around and I put it back inside. And it was for you guys to tell me what that was. Just so you can see, every single card in this deck faces one way. Every single one of them face one way, except for one. Can you see this card over here? Like I said, there's one card in this deck that actually faced the other way around, and it was your job to tell me which one this was. And this is the 7 of spades, the card you guys picked together, the one that you selected together. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave that just like that for the next show. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being a part of this, and I hope and pray that things for everybody resume really soon, and that you guys really thrive in business and learn more and grow more during this time. So thank you so much, and over to you, Simran. Thank you.
Wow, that was truly amazing. Thank you so much, Chirag. I think it was a good respite for all of us to see, you know, the fun stuff that you helped us with. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and we now will be moving on to our next speaker, and this is where we dive into our the workshop that we have planned for you guys. So let me, without any further delay, introduce Rudraprasad Das. He's the head of the School of Code, and he's with us today in he's going to teach us about data and data visualization. So let me try and hand over control to Rudra, and let's get started with the workshop for today. Hi, Rudra, welcome. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Hey, hi guys, how are you doing? Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly start my screen as well. I hope you guys can see my screen. So can I get a quick hi from people so that I know how many of you are like there? Because this is going to be a little bit longer session. So I really want each and every one of you to be a little more attentive. Can I quickly get a hi? Hi guys. All right, awesome. So well, today we are going to be covering up data visualization with Google Data Studio. Now, well, I know it's a very fancy term, data visualization. So I really like to, make it more simple and kind of call it something like, well, reporting like a boss with Google Data Studio. Now, what you really need to understand about Data Studio is that it comes at a very later stage. First, what I am going to do is basically give you guys an idea about the current scenario when it comes to making reports, and what is the pain point that is there when it comes to use data in your particular business. Now, let's just go ahead and dive a little bit deep into it. But before that, well, hi guys, I'm Rudraprasad Das. I'm the head of department for School of Code at IIDE. In my entire career of almost 4 years, I've trained over 4,000 professionals. I have founded my own startups here and there, and eventually, actually done some visiting faculties, being as a visiting faculty in some of the colleges out there. Now, well, enough about me. Really just like diving deep into the current topic that we have right now. The question really begs at this point of time is, why is data so important? Like, why should I, use data in my business, or why are people calling that data is the new fuel of the economy? Now, in order to understand the current scenario, I have some data to show you the importance of data. Now, this is one of the annual reports that is made by Cisco, the thing that you are seeing in front of you. It is basically the traffic growth on mobile devices every year on a month-to-month basis. Now, what it says basically, if you observe over here, what it says that around 2017, an average user used to use around 10 exabyte per month of data around 2017. At 2020, it is anywhere around 40 to 50 exabytes per month. And what we are predicting, what Cisco is predicting, that by 2022, it is going to be around 70 to 80 exabytes. Now, I know that you guys have heard about megabytes, MBs, gigabytes, GBs, and terabytes. And probably some of you have heard about petabytes. But what exactly is an exabyte? So I'm going to cover that up. So in order to understand what an exabyte is, just going back to my presentation. All right, in order to understand what an exabyte is, you really need to boil it down to smaller levels. 1 exabyte is equals to 1,000 petabytes, which basically is equal to 1,000,000 terabyte. Now, in order to give you an idea about what a terabyte is, well, you get hard disk for 1 or 2 terabytes for anywhere around 2 to 3K Indian rupees on Flipkart or Amazon. Now, imagine 1,000,000 of those drives together is basically how much is 1 exabyte. And what we are consuming is around anywhere around 40 to 50 exabytes of data. We human race are consuming that much data per month. Now, this really begs, there are some important insights that we can draw from this graph. First, obviously, the amount of data that is generated is increasing exponentially. That is 46% year on year. Now, if you are keen on observing, one thing to also note is it's not just the amount of data that we guys are using, it is also the number of devices that we guys are using on a day-to-day life is increasing exponentially. What do I mean by that? Is almost around 10 years ago, IoT was not as popular as it is today. Almost around 15 years ago, we never ever heard about what smartphones are. And almost around 8 to 9 years ago, I'm talking about 2000, 2001, phablets or tablets were not a thing. But today, the amount of devices is just enormous. And just imagine this, you guys have an iPhone or an Android phone, and you have almost around hundreds of apps on it. Yesterday, I actually went ahead and counted all the apps one by one on my phone, and the entire count comes to be around 122. Now imagine that 122 apps all collecting data from your phone. Now that's just one phone that I'm talking about. If you are a business person, we usually keep 2 phones one for work, one for personal reasons, and well, that's 2 phones. That's twice the amount of data. And it's not just your phone, guys. It's your computer, it's your smart TV, it's Alexa or Google Business that you have. It's even probably your AC if it's a smart Wi-Fi connected AC. So you see what's happening over here is on a day-to-day basis, we guys are just generating data and data and data and data. But the question is, like, how do you manage such huge amount of data? Or the actual question is, strategically speaking, how can I use this data that is generated by the users on a day-to-day basis in my own business? And I mean, just imagine if your competition can use this particular data, where does this actually leave you, right? So, well, in order to understand how data plays a role in any kind of business whatsoever, you really need to understand the different categories of data that you find in a business. What do I mean by that? Is even in a business, there are different kinds of data. There are different verticals of data. Now, well, it can start from the most common thing, starting from, well, your good old sales data. It can be, let's say, if you're a SaaS product or if you are a physical product, it can be a product data. For SaaS products, because that is one of the industries that I'm more familiar with, it is usually things like customer journey, what is the bounce off rates, what all features are working, what all features are not working. Sales data would be something like how many sales am I doing quarterly, how many sales I'm doing on a month-to-month basis, how much revenue I'm making, what is the markup, etc., etc. It can also be marketing data. What do I mean by marketing data? Well, a lot of businesses have different kind of segments where they market their product. It can either go through, well, the Facebook environment that is using. It can usually go through the Facebook environment, which basically includes Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc., etc. And then it also includes things like, let's say if you go ahead and do some marketing on LinkedIn or probably Google AdWords. What is the current CPC? What is your budget? How many campaigns you are basically running? How much money is burning in each and every campaign? So that's marketing data. Then comes, well, if you are developers and people who are developing are going to relate to it a lot, is crash data. Let's say you have a big application that is running, a behemoth, which basically goes ahead and on which your entire business is basically dependent on. One thing that you need to always keep on monitoring is my app performing? Is it crashing somewhere? Are there error happening somewhere? For example, one of the good examples of this would be people who are using Sentry. If you're coming from a development background, you could relate to me. Now, that is basically development or crash data. Then feedback data, things like when you go ahead and try to ask your customers their feedback about their particular product. Feedback is an infinite loop that is usually seen in each and every business. Things like, hey, if you like this, can you give us a 5-star rating so that we guys understand how did you like the product or not? If the product is working, what all we can improve, like, etc., etc. That's basically feedback, user generated data. And well, lastly, accounting data, things like how much tax you are paying, what are the expenses to your particular business, things like how many invoices you are raising, what's your cash flow, what is your unit econometrics. And well, these guys, one thing to note is this is not an extensive or an exhaustive list of the kind of data that you find in business. I'm just giving you an example of some of the most common types of data that you find in your business, and there can be many more. So, well, this just gives you a very general idea about the kind of data that we are dealing with. Now, in order to understand that, actually going ahead and using this data, people usually have a very simple flow in order to understand this particular gaining insights from data. We have data, but how do we get insights from the data is the question. Now, there are simple 5 steps in order to do that. First, you collect your data, then you prepare your data, then you analyze your data, eventually make a report out of it, and then share it. And I'm going to cover an example for this as well. But let's just try to understand the different kind of tools that you'll probably be using. Well, let's say if you want to make a sales report, you will probably go ahead and look for different kind of platforms that is driving your sales, be it fresh sales, or for a lot of people, it can be Salesforce. You will collect those data in form of CSVs or Excel sheets or databases. Then, I mean, that kind of data that you are going to be getting is still not very useful. You need to go ahead and schematize it. You need to model it. You need to go ahead and structure it properly, remove redundant data, etc., etc. So in order to do that, that is called the preparation of data, and you would store that in a much more structured fashion. You would probably be using like a proper relational database like MySQL, or probably the good old spreadsheet in order to store your data. Now, after that is where the fun part begins. You will go ahead and analyze that data. What do I mean by go ahead and analyze the data? Is things like you could probably do modeling out of that particular data. You can draw insights out of it. You can create different kind of visualizations. You can probably create interactive visualizations. Now, how you're going to do that is you're probably going to be using some of the popular tools out there, or probably just go ahead and code it, like in R. Then you will make a report out of that particular data. Usually it involves taking a screenshot or probably making a PDF or a presentation that will help communicate what you want to show through that particular data. And eventually, once you are done making that particular report, is where the challenge is, because you need to now share it with people over your email, over the mobile, or you can probably just present it on a projector. So, well, these are the 5 different steps and like the 5 different kind of things that you are going to be using in your business whenever it, actually comes to creating any kind of insight for data. Now, one of the things to note is, one thing to observe is, for each and every 5 of these steps, you are using a lot of different kind of tools. It is a physical pain it's not just a physical pain, it's a mental pain as well, to go through different kind of products for a different range of products, because it first becomes complex. Some of the products can be super duper expensive, and then eventually all of this entire setup becomes very difficult to manage. Now, I'm just going to give you an example of what I mean. Well, let's just like think of an example. Let's say you are sitting at your desk in your office early morning. You're going ahead with your day. Probably it's a Monday morning, and then your boss calls you. And boss calls you to his office, and he's like, "All right, so I really want, your performance evaluation is coming up. What I really want you to do is probably make a report and share it with me, depending on what your KPIs are. And you take it up as a challenge, and you want to make a really impressive report for your boss to go ahead and show him how your business is doing and how much sales you have personally made out of those particular things. So in order to do that, first, you'll probably go ahead and ask from the sales team the different kind of data that they have. You'll probably be asking your employees or your teammates to give their share of data so that you can run comparisons on it. And all those people are basically giving you different forms of data using different kind of Excel sheets. Someone is formatting it in one format, someone is formatting it in some other format whatsoever. And there's just no one consistent format to do that. So you collect all of these Excel sheets, and eventually you end up with like 15 Excel sheets. And now you're just wondering, like, what are you doing in life? But whatever, you just go ahead and collate all of those particular Excel sheets together, make a specified format which will help you go ahead and make a proper dashboard out of it. So you select 2-3 common columns out of this Excel sheets, put it all together, collate it all together, and then eventually, let's say you go ahead and make charts on Excel sheets. And then eventually, after making 3 charts, you are like, all right, I'm done. And you will probably be taking some screenshots out of it, probably be pasting all the screenshots in Google Doc, and then eventually write some report around it and then mail it to your boss. All right, this is all good till here. And your boss is now really impressed. He's like, wow, I really like the report that you have made. But can you just tweak this particular graph a little bit? Now you have to go all over again. You have to go through all the cycles of collecting the data, of basically going ahead and preparing the data, of going ahead and rerunning the visualizations on the data, then again going ahead and preparing a report again and changing all of those things in a Google Docs. So it is just an infinite loop again and again and again and again. Now, well, that was good. But imagine now your boss is saying, I am really impressed by the report that you have made. Why don't you give it to me daily? Now you are in a fit because, yeah, you put your everything into it and it probably like ate up your entire day to make that. Now, being a salesperson, what should your priority be? Be it sales or be it making reports every day? So one of the things to note over here from this particular example is that what we are dealing with is a very complex workflow. Now, what happens during a very complex workflow is, first of all, it is an organizational challenge because not a lot of people in a particular business are very much comfortable with complex workflows, nor do they have resources all the time to go ahead and make fancy reports on a day-to-day basis. So the question really begs is, how do you enable everyone in an organization to make data-driven decision? You can only make a data-driven decision if you can follow all of those 5 steps. So my thoughts about it is, in order to achieve that, you have to be solving these 3 bottlenecks. First, you should have a product that is very easy to use. So you are not actually going ahead and learning something new. You are basically utilizing what you have already learned before. Second thing, what you will probably want to do is having an efficient program. For example, things like it should be having real-time updates, so you don't have to go ahead and collect the data again and again and again and again. And it is very easy to collaborate with your teammates. So it's basically efficient to use. And third, you'll probably be looking for something that is very much cost efficient, so that you don't have to use 5 tools, and 5 tools at the end of the day make a very big hole in your wallet. You really don't want to do that. So in order to achieve this, if you guys think about your entire journey of using Google Suite, you will figure out that there are 2 products that will help you out achieve this, with keeping in mind all of these 3 factors. And that's first Google Sheets, and second is Google Data Studio. Now, I know a lot of people say that data science is a very complex field and you need to know programming about this, and in order to like run business intelligence, you need to probably like do databases and stuff. But guys, believe me, 80% of the work still happens on spreadsheets. And usually how much ever spreadsheets, people say that spreadsheets are incapable of handling things, but spreadsheets still are one of the most de facto things that are being used in the industry when it comes to making reports or when it comes to storing data, because of the relative use of the usage. Now, where do spreadsheets usually come in? Is I'm just going back to the slide that I was showing you. Collection and preparation of data. So things like whenever you're collecting the data, when you're preparing the data, is essentially where spreadsheets are going to help you out. And then eventually we are going to be using another tool called Google Data Studio for the later stage of the complex workflow that we discussed, which basically is analyzing that particular data, drawing visualizations out of it, making reports out of it, and sharing it with your employees and making the team all on the same page. Now, why these 2 products? Well, first, it's very easy to use. Second, well, obviously, because it's a G Suite product, that means that it has real-time collaboration. Third, it saves on the clouds. Imagine you have a meeting the next morning and your PC just died down last night. That is going to be abysmal. But if you save it on the cloud, you're going to be saving yourself that embarrassment. And eventually, fourth is it plugs in really well with existing G Suite products. What do I mean by that? Is it plugs in very well with Google Analytics, it plugs in really well with Google Sheets, etc., etc. And we are going to explore all of that in due time. So without any further ado, let me introduce you guys to what I was talking about. I think enough of theory. We'll just like go ahead and do some practical now. And so today we are going to be making a sales report. And I already had the liberty to go ahead and collect some data. Well, don't be very suspicious. This is actually sample data. This is sample data. So it's a very it's a sample data about different kind of orders of a toy company that makes model cars, model planes, model trains, trucks, etc., etc. So this data actually spans across from 2003 to 2004. As you can see, there is a lot of data around it. Now, just like running through the different kind of columns that we have of importance over here. Well, obviously, the quantity ordered, for price for each and every unit, what is the sales, what is the status of the sales, what kind of model are we dealing with, who is the buyer, and well, then there are like address, city, state, territory, etc., etc. So this is like proper sales data on an Excel sheet. Now, the kind of report that we are going ahead and making, will kind of look like this. Now, I know it just looks a little dull for you guys, but I really want to like highlight some of the features of the report. For example, all right, so over here we have 2 graphs. One of them is quantity ordered and the other one is sales. What do I mean by quantity ordered? Is basically how over the entire sales of 2003, 4, and 5, it's seen that classic cars have sold the best. And if you see over here, the graph of all the countries that are going to be out there, the sales is the highest in the United States, which makes sense. Now, eventually, if you look at the sales data and compare it to quantity ordered, you'll figure out that classic cars is generating the most amount of revenue. Well, it just makes sense because the number of quantities for classic cars have sold the most. All right, now let's just say you want to go ahead and really want to go ahead and see, all right, I have different kind of companies. I want to just go ahead and see how am I doing in Japan. And so you just click on this report over here and you just click on only Japan. And whoa, your data has automatically changed. So you see what I did there is I basically controlled the entire flow of data using just a drop-down list that was there. Now, as you can see in Japan, the scenario is a little different. Even though globally classic cars are doing the best, and turns out that planes are by far one of the best things that are happening in Japan. So you'll probably, if you are expanding in Japan, it will probably be concentrating on planes more. So one of the features in making any kind of live reports like this is first, well, it's real-time collection of data. So anything that you change in the Excel sheet out there is going to automatically reflect on your report. So it saves you the entire cycle of going back, collecting data, preparing the data, etc., etc., etc. And eventually, one of the other things is you're giving better control to your bosses out there. Now, what do I mean by that is you can create different kind of drop downs where people can go ahead and select different kind of controls. They can tinker around with the date range. They can tinker around with different parameters like how am I doing in countries. You can probably do this with different kind of models of your product. So let's just go ahead and see how you can basically do it. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is just go ahead and type datastudio.google.com. Like any other one, like sheets.google.com, Data Studio also has their own subdomain. So you can just visit it over there. The next thing you'll probably need to do is add a data source. Every good report needs a good data source. And we are going to be using this Excel sheet over here as the data source of the report that we are going to be making. So over here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on new, create data source. And as you can see, it's not just Google Sheets that you can connect with Data Studio. You can connect Google AdWords, you can connect Analytics, you can connect Campaign Manager, you can connect Ad Manager, YouTube Analytics, anything and everything that you think of. And if you are not comfortable using any G Suite products, if you have data somewhere else, you can use you can build your own connectors, or you can probably be using any of the partner connectors that are there. Now, what we really want to do over here is just meddle around with Google Sheets. So I'm just going to go ahead and select Google Sheets from over here. And as you can see, it's already showing Acme sales data over here. These are all the sheets that are already present in my particular drive. So it's connecting to my drive and telling me that these are the sheets present, which spreadsheet do you want to choose. So I'm just going to select Acme sales data. And in that particular file, I really want to select my sheet 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on sheet 1. And as soon as I select it, if you guys can see on the top right hand corner, this connect buttons highlights up. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on connect now. Just waiting for it to connect, guys. All right, so as soon as I connect, one thing to note is all of the columns that you see in this Excel sheet, that's order number, quantity ordered, price each, sales, order date, etc., are all coming over here as different kind of fields that you can use to create your dashboards. Now, over here, what you can probably do is, so there are 3 to 4 different fields that I'm going to be explaining you. First is the field name. What is the column name that you're dealing with? The type of data that you're dealing with. For example, addresses will be text, whereas dates will be, well, YYMMDD, which is a date format. Months will again be just months type. Things like your MSRP and your sales is going to be number because they are currency. Now, what we need to do over here is probably be changing some of them. For example, if you look at country over here, countries are text, yes, but you can basically map it down to geospatial data by just going to geo over here and clicking on country. This will change the type to country, and later you can probably be using a map in order to draw insights out of it. Now I think we are good to go over here, because Google, most of the time Google usually predicts the kind of data that is going to be stored inside it and is going to assign it accordingly. So we are good to go over here. The next thing what we can do after adding a data source, is go ahead and create a report. Now, how do I go ahead and create a report? Well, it's super easy. Can you see this button out here on the top right hand corner, the second button? I'm just gonna go ahead and click on create report over here. All right, so it basically is telling me that, hey, you are creating a new report and you are adding this particular data source to it. Do you want to add it to the report? So I'm just going to go ahead and click on yes, add to report. So, well, I'm almost there. This is my blank canvas of the dashboard that I am going to be making. And as you can see, by default, there's one table over here, which basically gives me the status and the record count of it. And what our record count is something that I'm going to be covering up a little later, but let's just remove this guy from over here for the time being. Now let's go back to my data. All right, I am looking at my data, and the very first thing that I'll probably be wanting to do is go ahead and see which of the units are getting sold the most. Now, what do I mean by that? Is, can you see the quantity ordered over here? It's basically the selling quantity that is getting out. So I really need to map these numbers on a model line basis. That is, product line and quantity ordered is something that I'm going to be dealing with. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard over here. First, I'll just report this name as well. Acne sales report. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and click on add chart over here, and the next thing that I'll do is look for a bar graph, because that is going to denote the data the best way. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on bar graph and drag it over here, and we are almost good to go, guys. The next thing, as you can see, by default it is giving me the amount of statuses that is out there. As you can see, a very useful insight, almost 2.5K products are shipped properly, and almost around, like, I guess 50 or something are cancelled resolved. So in comparison, we are doing a very good job, because we have shipped a lot of products and there are not a lot of disputes or cancelled products that are out there. So let's just quickly change the metrics of this. If you want to go ahead and change the state metrics to, let's say, from status, I want to go ahead and see product line. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the dimension to product line. And as you can see, all of a sudden, I can see the record count of classic cars, vintage cars, motorcycles. So it's basically giving me a report of how my different kind of product lines are performing. But the data is still not accurate, because it is relying on record count. Now, what do I mean by record count? Record count, as you can see, is not present in any of the columns that are there in my data. It is one of the columns that is by default put by Google Sheet, which basically means each and every row is one record. So each and every row is going to hold one value. So every row that has classic cars is basically telling me that around 950 rows have classic cars written in them. But what I'm more interested is not in the record count, but in the quantity order. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this metric to quantity order. Now, as you can see, it's now giving me much more accurate data by telling me that over the 3 years of 2003, 4, and 5, I have almost sold, my business is almost sold around 35K classic cars, which is a big deal. So the next thing that I want to do is probably be making a very small revenue bar chart just to understand that is my sales quantity directly translating to my revenue. So the next thing I'll probably do is go ahead and click on another chart over here, or let's just do one thing. I'm just going to copy and paste it, drag the next chart just down here, and simply put, I am going to go ahead and change my quantity ordered to sales, because sales by far over here, sales by far, if you can see, sales by far over here is the number that I'm basically is the revenue that I'm generating by actually selling some product. So the next thing that I did over here is made a sales chart. Now the next thing I probably want to do is have a global overview of how much am I selling in each and every country. So in order to do that, the next thing I'll do is click on add a chart again, and I'm going to click on geo map and drag the map over here. Now as you can see, what Data Studio did is basically went ahead and saw anything that is related to geospatial data, in my case that is countries, and then actually going ahead and typing the metric of quantity ordered, adding to it. So now I can have proper data seeing that, all right, so United States is the place where I'm selling the most. Then after that is Australia and a little bit of Europe, then Canada, Japan, and a little bit of North Europe. So that is the insight that I got from that. One thing to note over here, guys, is in order to make charts, what I am essentially doing is just connecting it and dragging and dropping it. And Google Data Studio takes care of everything else whatsoever. Just shows how easy it is to use it. Now, well, we made all of this particular charts, but I really want to go ahead and add some filters. So that I can go ahead and control the data in a very controlled fashion. So let's just go ahead and see how can I add some more filters. So if you can see this option over here, there's something called as filter control. I can click on that and I can again drag it. As soon as I do that, it automatically assigns a dimension to it, dimension on which I can basically go ahead and want to filter my particular products. Let's say for now, let's just keep it at product line. So I can basically go ahead and see how my different product lines are performing in different places. So I will quickly just switch to view over here so that I can go ahead and use this particular report. As you guys can see, now my report actually looks like what it will look to the third person. So I'm just going to click on product line over here, and all the product lines that are there over here as in an aggregated fashion is something that shows up over here. So now I really want to just see how good is, let's say, vintage car doing all over the world. Now, as you can see, vintage car is around 21,000 sales. It is around, I'm generating around 1.9 millions out of just vintage cars. And then I'm going to go ahead and see different kind of countries. Turns out US is the best place to sell vintage cars. Now let's just say I want to figure out where are trucks and buses kind of doing their best. So I'm just going to select trucks and buses again, and again US is the place where it's doing the best. But now let's just go ahead and click on, let's say I want to just have a view of 2 or 3 ones, like the top 3 ones over here. So I'm just going to click on classic cars, vintage cars, and motorcycles, and my entire data in the entire sheet is just going to be filtered on these 3 parameters. That is cars that belong to classic cars, vintage cars, or motorcycles. And I can see how much revenue that I've made from it, and what is it doing, how good is it doing in different kind of countries that are there. Now, this was just one basic example of a control. If I want to go ahead and into edit mode, I can click on edit over here. Now, well, I think our report is coming out really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and probably add a very small date filter to it. So next time if my boss asks, hey, can you I really want to make it do it daily, what you can probably do is just give him a date range so that he can just go ahead and select the different kind of date range he wants the data for. So in order to add a date range, it is as simple as adding a filter control, except you just need to select the date range option over here. Select the date range option, drag it, drop it, and well, you're good to go. Now, if you view it again, if you click on date range, it will basically go ahead and choose the different kind of date range that you are interested in. In my case, because it's 2003 and 2004 data, I'm just going to start from January, let's say 1st, 2003, and till end of December 2003. Apply it. And again, my data has changed depending on what my current scenario looks like, depending on the year of 2003. Now, let's say you're like, okay, so this is a global parameter on which I am basically filtering the data. Now, what I really want to do is make a month-on-month bifurcation of on which month how much sales has happened, so that I can basically recognize the trend. So in order to do that, what you can probably do is go back to the edit option of your report. And again, let's say you want to go ahead, and because you're probably showing time, you're showing growth, it is much better if you use a line chart, but I'm not sure if line charts are available over here. Yeah, line chart over here. And you can basically go ahead and add line chart over here. One thing to note is right now, my report is barely able to accommodate the amount of graphs that I'm making. So what I really need to do is basically increase the page size. So how I can do that is current page settings, style. As of now, the height is 900. I'm going to just make it 1300 for the time. Cool. So I think we have enough space to go ahead and show it. So over here, sales data, and then I'm going to go ahead and we'll probably show it in different months. So our dimension changes from country to month over here. All right, so I can see the amount of sales that happened in November is the most. So, but one more thing to note over here is all the months that are there are really skewed up. So how I can basically sort those months out is right now all my months are basically going ahead and happening over sales. I really don't want that to happen. So I can just go ahead and click on month ID over here, and instead of aggregation to be sum, what I really need to change it is to min. Okay, this is not, and yeah, ascending order over here, and voila, I'm good to go. As you can see, now I can basically go ahead and see that my toys are selling the best in the month of November, and there is a temporary spike in the month of May. What this tells me about the current trend of my toys selling is probably because October and November being one of the most festive season, people are buying most amount of toys over there, which is just a reflection because around October and November, this Christmas, all the festivities come around this time. So people really are in a mood to spend, and they would rather buy some toys or gifts for people who are around or for the kids. So that is why there's a short. So it basically shows how seasonal my particular entire sales is. And I know the next time if I really want to launch a new model, October and November is probably one of the best times to launch it, because I know there will be guaranteed success in it. Now, let's just say this is the data for 2003, 4, and 5, and you really want to like divide the data, not for the entire report, but just only for this particular chart. And you just want to add a filter control for it. So in order to do that, go ahead and select the chart that you want to add a filter control to. Click on filter control, obviously. Drag your control over here. And right now it's put to month. I'm just going to go ahead and change the dimension to here. Sorry about that. All right, now as soon as I do that, I'm just gonna go to my view mode over here and select, let's say I'm more interested in only 2003 data. As you can see, it is just now showing me only 2003 data. Let's say if you want to just see 2005 data. Now this is showing me data for 2005 because we don't have anything after May 2005. It is not showing me anything after 2005. So, well, we are almost there in making our report. There's just one thing remaining. Is I know the report is functional, but we really want to make it more aesthetic. We want to make it look a little bit better, probably put all the company colors to it. So in order to do that, it's super simple. Going back to edit mode, there are a lot of presets of theme over here. You can probably just go ahead and select a theme that suits you the best. So you can probably just go ahead and put this theme that I had put earlier. And the next thing, you really want to put a title for the report over here. So you can click on an empty text box. You can put this text box and you can go ahead and write, all right, so Acme toy sales report. I'm going to select this and I really want to like make it bolder, probably increase the size a bit. So make it around, let's say 48 pixels. Yeah, looks better. And then I'm just going to go ahead and yeah, I think we are good to go. I'm just going to go ahead and drag it to a little bit over. And now I really want a like brown, sort of like a brown square that is going ahead and covering up the entire title to make it a little more fancier. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle over here. All right, so rectangle is covering the title. So right click on it, order, send to back. Okay, change the color of the rectangle to, let's say, dark brownish. So change it. And I think white color would suit the best for the text. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it white in color. And voila, with this, you make a very short and concise sales report, which you can interact with, which your boss can interact with. And guys, I'm still not finished. Huh? You can basically go ahead and share this report with anyone that you like. So you can just, like how you do with any other G Suite products that is there, you can just add their email ID and they won't be able to collaborate unless and until you specifically ask for them to collaborate. They can just view the report and basically go ahead and interact with the report. Now you can do a lot of fancy stuff with this. And it is not just your sales data that it is going to be restricted to. This is just an example. You can basically go ahead and create this report for anything and everything that you want for all the verticals of your business that is going to be there. One of the best things about it is, well, your team is always going to be on same page. And you just saw, I just created a report in, well, not even 15 minutes. It's not bad, all right? Now, well, I think that was mostly for the practical part of it. And I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and like go back to the presentation and cover up the rest of it. But all right, so I hope you guys really learned something new over here. I'm just gonna leave it at there so that you guys can go ahead and explore a little bit more and keep the fire burning. And honestly speaking, Google Data Studio is by far one of them. I have used Tableau, I've used Power BI, and by far Google Data Studio has been one of the most easiest solution to a lot of things that are there. Now, if you liked this particular workshop, I would suggest you can probably tag me. This is my Instagram profile. That's my company's Instagram profile, IID online. If you really enjoyed it, you can probably put up a story and tag us. With this being said, we at IID are a digital institute and we excel in digital marketing training. And what we are also introducing right now is a post-graduation program in data science, which is going to start at around 25th July. The application deadline was 30th April. but we have basically went ahead and extended it a little bit. Now it's a weekend only batch. It's an offline course, so it's a brick and mortar system, but unfortunately due to COVID-19, most of our classes are online. But then again, this is going to start in 25th July. It's a post-graduation program, and it's a limited seats, only 20 students. And we also have scholarships, but the deadline has passed in 15th, but there are still seats available. If you just go ahead and inquire for it, you might just get it. And with that being said, if you want more information about it, you can basically go ahead and visit our site, www.iid.co. With this, and on our Instagram page, if you're really interested in this workshop and really want to speak to our counselors, you can probably go to our Instagram profile on our bio and click on PGP program in data science. Apart from that, we also have courses on digital marketing and digital design. With this, I'll be taking your leave, guys. You have been a lovely audience. Thank you. All right, so I still have almost around 5 minutes to cover up any and every questions that you guys have regarding this session or regarding data science in general. I'll be more than happy to help you guys.
Thank you so much, Rudra. I think the audience has really enjoyed your talk. And we do
Yes.
see that there are, like Kanav is asking for more details, which you just covered. So apart from that, yeah, no other questions on the data pieces that you just showed us right now. I don't see any more comments.
Awesome.
But
awesome.
we do have a poll. Rudra, should we get to the poll? I can just quickly present my screen, and if someone can help us start the poll,
Yeah, sure.
we can get to that. Can everybody see the poll? Let's take a couple minutes to answer that question. All right. We see a lot of you have already given us your answers to that. So with this,
Simran, let's just wait for a few minutes, please.
Sure, yeah. Are we waiting for the answers to come in?
Yeah, we're just trying to have at least 50% votes, so it's coming in soon.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, I think we are good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for giving us your answers. And with that, we come to an end to our session today. It's really been great having all of you. And we're really hoping that the next event we do, we see you all in person. But if that doesn't happen, then we'll definitely try and do more of these online versions of Ctrl+f5. Is always to bring you better speakers and more knowledge so you can take it back and apply it to your business, to your clients. And we hope our session today will help you do better with data for your own business, as well as for your clients who you are probably developing websites or apps, and also helping them with their reporting and dashboarding needs. So overall, we hope you've really enjoyed the session, and I hope all the updates that we gave you today were helpful. And yeah, all the best. We wish you all continue being safe, sound, healthy, and well. And until the next time we see you guys, thanks again for joining. Take care, and bye-bye from Reseller Club.